Is honorable ministers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning. I'm very honored to give my opening speech for the first Asia CCUS Network Forum. At the 14th East Asia Summit Energy Ministers Meeting held on 20th November 2020 last year, attended by the ministers and the senior officials responsible for energy from the EAS participating countries that are also ASEAN member states, AMS, Australia, the People's Republic of China, India, Japan, the Republic of Korea, New Zealand, the Russian Federation, and the United States. The ministers welcomed the cooperation initiative led by Japan and ERIA to establish the Asia CCUS Network, which is expected to realize the partnership to help implement knowledge and experience sharing and research activities in the ES region. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, taking this opportunity, I wish to reiterate that Asia CCUS Network is established with a vision to contribute to decarbonization through collaboration and cooperation on development and deployment of CCUS in Asian region. Further, the mission of this network is to facilitate deployment of CCUS through the following activities. Number one, promote knowledge sharing through holding an annual forum, conferences, workshops, and meetings. Number two, conduct research studies on technical, economical, and legal standards of CCUS in the EAS region. And number three, hold capacity building training workshops to bridge the knowledge gap on CCUS. Today is a very important day to witness the successful creation of this Asia CCUS network to promote CCUS in Asia and East Asia. Decarbonization is extremely important as part of the sustainable pathways to contribute to abate climate change in the region in line with the objectives of the Paris Agreement. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, looking into the current EAS energy system, the share of fossil fuel, coal, oil, and natural gas is more than 70% in the primary energy mix. For ASEAN alone, the share of fossil fuel is almost 80% in the current energy mix. Without any policy changes, it is expected that this high share of fossil fuel will continue rising in the foreseeable future to meet increasing energy demand. Thus, the clean use of fossil fuels through the deployment of clean technologies and the CCUS are indispensable for decarbonizing regions' emissions. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the pursuit of net zero emission is starting, and it is very challenging for many countries that have high dependency on fossil fuels, especially for many developing countries around the world. In the region of ASEAN and East Asia, Japan and South Korea have joined the pledge for the net zero emission by 2050, while China aims to achieve net zero emission by 2060. Singapore has already announced ambitious plan to go net zero emission beyond 2050. Although many countries in ASEAN have yet to set any specific target for net zero emission, but countries are working hard to redesign its policy to more sustainable, cleaner energy system. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, going for green and clean energy system will rely on the clean technologies such as CCUS and the deployment of renewable energy resource. We know that ASEAN is rich in solar PV resources. However, only few countries have offshore wind resources, such as Vietnam, Indonesia, and the Philippines. The continental Southeast Asia, known as the Mekong sub-region countries, are rich of hydropower resources. Thus, the high penetration of solar PV and wind in ASEAN could be facilitated by the future power connectivity and trade within the whole ASEAN. If ASEAN electricity market gradually moving up to multilateral integrated electricity market, the hydropower resource from the Mekong sub-region could play significant role as a baseload power, and it also complement very well with high penetration of solar and wind energy. However, it should be noted that high penetration of variable renewable energy such as wind and solar will require large capacity of electrical discharge battery storage to back up the power shortage during the worst and extreme days of less sunshine and less wind. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, since large capacity of battery storage calls for huge investment cost, it is pragmatic that thermal power plants will also be used for backup. In this case, CCUS is indispensable in the quest of decarbonized energy system, while hydrogen is another crucial technology for decarbonization. When it is produced from fossil fuels, CCUS is also needed for neutralizing CO2 emissions. Towards carbon neutrality, the IEA estimated that almost half of the emission reduction will need to come from carbon sink technologies such as CCUS. Thus, commercializations of CCUS will be central to the success of decarbonization. This is particularly the case for the ASEAN region, with a strong presence of fossil fuels now and future. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the pursuit of carbon neutrality and net zero emissions of ASEAN will rely on today's actions, policies, and investments to change the fossil fuel-based energy system towards a cleaner energy system. But any decisions and energy policy measures to be rolled out during the energy transition need to consider other equally important priority of energy access, affordability, and energy security risks. Thus, managing the energy transition in ASEAN towards clean energy systems and carbon neutrality will need to consider the presence of clean use of fossil fuels, coal, oil, and natural gas in the short-term and mid-term energy system. Economic challenges also need to be fully considered. ERIA has conducted the decarbonization scenarios for ASEAN countries, which found that the marginal CO2 abatement cost exceeds $700 per ton of CO2 in net zero emission target by 2070. If the target year accelerated to 2050, the cost could further increase to $955 per ton of CO2. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude that the continuous knowledge sharing on CCUS through this platform is so crucial for energy design, policy design. Therefore, many stakeholders from various government officials, industries players, financial institutions, academia, think tanks, and research institutes are actively participating in this platform for supporting decarbonization of Asian countries. I wish to take this opportunity to thank honorable ministers, head of international energy agencies, and industries' distinguished speakers, and all participants for providing your strong support to Asia CCUS Network. Finally, I hope you will enjoy the rich discussion, and I wish a forum a great success. Thank you very much.